Hello, class. So I hope that you've read about flat 2 or the Neapolitan in Unit 29. They call it the Phrygian because, like the Phrygian mode, it features scale degree 2 a half step above scale degree 1. For example, in this exercise that we're going to work on together, which is in E minor, the diatonic scale degree 2 is F sharp, as you would find it in both E minor and E major, because scale degree 2 normally doesn't change quality depending on whether we're in major or minor, except that here you can have the so-called Phrygian 2, which is a flat second degree, and that's F natural. So we've got F sharp, F sharp, F sharp, F natural. Here you've got F sharp again, but now here F natural, and there F natural. So if you see a lowered scale degree 2, that might, in your exercises for this unit and beyond, you should think possibility of the flat 2 triad, which in E minor would be F major. Actually, here you've got to skip from F to A. So again, that kind of implies F major, and in fact, and here A down to F, again F major, and here we actually arpeggiate F major. So the melody kind of tells you quite a bit that we're going to have a lot of flat 2 business. By the way, flat 2 is generic. In E minor, flat 2 is actually natural 2. So generically we say flat 2, but in a specific situation, the flat 2 might actually be indicated with a natural. That depends obviously on the key. This is the melody. All right, let's go phrase by phrase. 4-bar phrase. A clear cadential ending here, I would say. All right? So working backwards from this cadence, let's say that we're going to build a PAC here. All right. 5, 1. Now, as we've said so often, an accented scale degree 1 moving down to the leading tone should imply a cadential 6/4. So I think that's how we would handle that phrase ending. I'm not going to do the inner voices here because there's a file for you on Canvas that will have this exercise with the inner voices. So if you don't mind, so that this video doesn't take forever, I'm just going to put the outer voices and figures. So we do the cadence first. Okay? Now, let's work backwards. The combination of the natural 2 with its upper third should indicate that the predominant here in this cadence is going to be the Neapolitan, which normally is based on scale degree 4. Normally it's in first inversion. In fact, some people just call it the Neapolitan 6th. I prefer not, because in fact the Neapolitan often does occur in root position. It's just that most often it occurs in first inversion because so often the dominant is prepared by scale degree 4 in the bass. All right? Maybe just for the sake of clarity, I will put, some inner voices here. This could be, we'll put the A here as well. Okay, so we have a complete F major triad. If you wanted to be fancy, you could even add a little voice exchange between the outer voices, and so here you bring in actually the root. Anyway, this is the Neapolitan 6. We could, we'll call it N6, although Book says flat 2, 6. Either way is okay. You see both in textbooks, either N for Neapolitan or flat 2. I prefer flat 2. But now we have the immediate approach to the cadence. We have the Neapolitan, the cadential 6/4, 5/7, 1. Perfect authentic cadence. Working further backwards, you could certainly have a 1 here, and that would be correct as far as it goes. You could go, and then the Neapolitan. But in the unit, you also read about tonicizing the Neapolitan, and that might be a fun thing to do here because this E could be heard locally as the leading tone to F major, the leading tone to the Neapolitan. So we could actually make a little progression where this is 5 of flat 2 moving non-cadentially via a 5/4-2 of flat 2, and we indicate that relationship with the arrow. And that sounds, I think, a little more effective than just having the 1 already. And since this D sharp implies the tonic, it implies the dominant, 5, this could go deceptively, okay, from 5 to essentially 6, which is 5 of the Neapolitan, okay? Because in minor, 6, which is formed on the lower scale degree 6, actually is the upper fifth, the upper perfect fifth to flat 2. So if you're in E minor, 6 is C minor, C major, but C major is also 5 of F major. So, 6 can be understood in this context actually as a 5 of flat 2. Okay? So you hear there a deceptive cadence in minor, 5 or 5/7 to 6, but then the 6 is treated as a 5 of flat 2. And the idea of 6 in minor or flat 6 in major as the upper fifth of flat 2 is discussed in your textbook. As for the beginning, that's a fairly diatonic thing. You could decide to, harmonize scale degree 2 here as an inverted 5, something of that sort. You know what? I regret not having put this down an octave lower. I think so that part is fairly standard. This could be a 5/6 between 2 1s. Make it a diminished 7th chord on the leading tone. You could go, 5/6, 5/6/5, 7/7, just something on the leading tone, maybe just to prolong that initial tonic. Here you could have a little voice exchange if you wanted between the 1 and the 1/6. You could put a little 4 there as a predominant if you wanted to, and then just go nicely up 1 to 5 by step. But there's more than one way to skin that cat. Okay, so we have the first phrase. Now, you'll notice that the second phrase begins like the first phrase, but up a third. Up a third. That suggests that maybe we could tonicize 3. We could do something, we could start with a tonic anyway, but then maybe do this part up a third. If we wanted to. Or we could just do the same thing. So it's a motive, slightly altered to modulate to 3. Something like that. Let me do that again. Something like that. Or you could do a cadential 6/4 there, slightly different. In any case, the idea is that these 2 bars are just going to be a variant of this bar, but leading to a 5 in the key of G. So essentially, this E minor is going to simply become 6 of G. This could be a 5/6 of G, G prolonged with a voice exchange, and then maybe we make this a cadential 6/4. I think that'll sound better. 5 with a cadential 6/4. There. So we've essentially done the same thing here, except for the very beginning. But this part here, from D sharp up to B, is now transposed to be F sharp up to D. So same thing. All right. Then we have a sequence in the melody. We have followed by. So let's think about what that sequence might be. This could be a 5/1 in G. We're still in G. It could be now that might be a little dull, just a D7 going to a G, but it would be perfectly correct. And we could make that the outline, and this could be continue the 5ths down. So then this is leading by descending 5ths from D to G, so we're still prolonging 3. Okay. So we're in G, 5, 7 to 1. Like so. And then this would tonicize. And now remember that back in E minor, all this is 3. Then this C7 chord would be a 5/7 of flat 2. Okay? Or natural 2 in this case. So we're really just moving by descending 5ths. D to G, that's 3. And then C, F, that's prolonging natural 2 in this case, F major. So the goal of this sequence is actually the Neapolitan. Why don't I make this just a little clearer? 5, 7, 1 of 3, and then 5, 7, 1 of generic flat 2, although in this case it's natural 2. It's really just a straightforward descending fifth sequence that's implied there. Now, we could make it a little fancier if we wanted to. Instead of having a root position 5, 7 to 1, we could make it a little more contrapuntal. Okay, we could have this be a little less cadential sounding. I'll play you that alternative. Sorry, so instead of simply, it could become. You could even put a little voice exchange there. And now we have a slightly more interesting bass. Instead of, we have, and then you could sequence that down. Ya, da, bum, 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 bum. Then this E to F, with the F major, could imply continued tonicization of F, of the Neapolitan. So something like, just like we did over here. You see that this measure here actually kind of is the same as that measure there. And this is very much like that. I don't think we have to reinvent the wheel. We've already done it. This continues to tonicize flat 2. So all of this is a big flat 2. And then 5, probably with a cadential 6-4 to 5-7 to 1. So the second phrase begins with tonic, continues by transposing the first phrase up a third to modulate to the relative major. Our sequence of an elaborated descending fifth pattern. We continue to tonicize flat 2, and then cadential 6-4 in the home key. And the only thing that I did there at the piano, instead of what we wrote down, is to make the bass here a little bit rhythmically motivic by adding a little upper neighbor so that I could then preserve that dotted rhythm in kind of imitation with the melody. So we have, starting with a sequence.